Okay, folks, so this is attempt 3 tonight at live streaming here on YouTube. It's Wednesday. I would usually say it's 8 p.m, but it's not. It's way past that now because of all the technical disasters that we have had today. Fingers crossed you can see this. I'm hoping for the first 1 or 2 of you who tune into this, please drop a comment in this box. Just yes, whatever, call me a name, it doesn't matter. I just want to see that you can see it because of the technical problems we've been having tonight. They have caused me an absolute nightmare. So as soon as you come in, just drop me a comment, let me know that you are there. I'm going to keep my eyes out. And then highs, okay, Stufa, we've got 1 person in. I guess this means that this one is visible, which is great. So I will try this again. I can see and comment. Thank God. 3rd time lucky. 3rd time lucky. There we go. To give you a background of this evening, guys, I've got a bit of a sweat and I've been a bit stressed out. I've done about 40 minutes worth of live streaming and for some reason none of you could comment. There's been a few issues with them coming back and forth. So I think finally we are here. Hi, Linas, Laura, we're here. I think we're good now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some notes that I made this week to kind of fill in the blank spots at the beginning of these live feeds for you guys to listen to. We're going to start off with choosing a trainer. Now, this is a question that comes up quite a lot with social media being as powerful it is, and everybody trying to sell you something. How do you choose a personal trainer? How do you choose a coach? How do you choose a product of any kind? You know, the easiest way to consider this is how would you choose a car? You check reviews, you know, you find one you like the look of, you check reviews, you make sure it's reliable, you make sure it runs, you make sure it's not going to break down, the wheels are going to fall off. You look at its reputation, okay? The key thing for you when choosing a trainer, when choosing an online trainer, whether choosing a one-to-one PT, is to find somebody who can prove to you, not tell you, not make you believe, but prove to you that they can get results out of every different possible kind of person. Men, women, young, old, perfectly capable, sick, injured, you name it. The reality of it is social media now is full, rampacked full of coaches who coach bodybuilders. Now, if you take a bodybuilder, whether male or female, who's willing to take a ton of gear, who's an absolute robot, who's willing to do 2 hours of cardio a night, who is willing to eat nothing but fish and greens for 12 weeks, that's one thing. The chances are you watching this, you are not that person. You are not that guy, you are not that girl. If you are a real person, you are going to have to find someone who can train real people. Okay, bear that in mind. Look at who you are. Find somebody who can train people like you. That's more than likely your guy. Obviously, that's us, duh. But you get my point. Secondly, I put this one up on my Instagram today. We're talking about who your personal trainer should be. What should you be looking for in a personal trainer? A PT is kind of going to have to be whoever they need to be to uphold their side of the bargain. Now, when you sign up with a personal trainer, you are signing into a contract. You are saying to that personal trainer, I, the client, will do whatever you want me to in order to get the result that I have paid you for. Okay? The trainer is going to give you all of the information you need, providing you do exactly as they say. The end result is going to be exactly what you paid for, okay? That's the theory behind it. Now, of course, real life and practice, 90% of clients don't do exactly as they're told. That's one thing. But the trainer needs to be fluid. Yes, the trainer sometimes needs to be your best friend. Sometimes they need to be your confidant. Sometimes they need to be your therapist. But other times, they're not going to be your friend. Other times, they need to be a bit blunt and they need to be a bit harsh with you to tell you how it is. The reality of it is you're going to have a load of fake friends kicking about on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, even in your immediate vicinity, that will tell you things that you want to hear, not the things that you need to hear. There is a big difference. If your trainer is telling you the stuff that you want to hear as opposed to what you need to hear, you may have picked the wrong trainer. Please do bear that in mind. Your trainer should always have your best interests at heart, even if sometimes that hurts. Next, what is my next note from the week? Paul Delaney, I will come to your question in a moment. I'm just going to hit this next point. Time to train. This is one that comes up quite a lot. When is the best time to train? The best time to train is going to be when you feel the best, when you have the most energy, when you have the most motivation to train. However, having said that, I find personally that getting things done first thing in the morning can usually be the more consistent time to train. Not necessarily the more effective time to train, but certainly the more consistent. By going to bed earlier, by waking up earlier, by getting out, going for your walk or going to the gym first thing, it is done for the day. That way, it's finished. It's actually going to give you a more productive day at work because you've got your blood pumping, your brain's working properly, everything is kicking it. Everything's kicking about. Whereas if you get to the end of a long day, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, you've had to stay at work late, you haven't trained yet, you haven't done your cardio, you haven't hit your step goal, the chances are you're going to go home. You're going to go home, you're going to sit on your sofa, you're going to chill out, you're not going to do anything. Now, with that in mind, when is the best time to train? Yes, it is when you feel the best about training, when you're going to get the best session. But if you can't really identify a time when that is, then do it in the morning. Do it first thing, get it out of the way, get it sorted. You're going to feel amazing for doing it. Paul Delaney, Harley, I'm happy with my weight, but finding it hard to lose fat off my stomach. What advice would you give to a 47-year-old? Happy with your weight, but finding it hard to lose fat off your stomach. If you're finding it hard to lose fat, the number one point is always your diet. Look at your diet. Are there any elements of your diet? If I sit here and ask you now, are there any elements of your diet that you can identify based on just your basic knowledge of where you think you could probably improve? If so, comment in that box. Darren, all of Nick's workouts contain chin-ups. I can currently only manage 5 sets of 4 unassisted overhand grip chin-ups, which is nowhere near the sets and reps recommended. Is this normal? Yes, Darren, absolutely. A chin-up is a very, very, very difficult movement, very difficult full body movement. It takes a while to get there. It's very, very, very demanding on the body, very demanding on the nervous system, so don't stress about it. The reality of it is just always aim for a progression. It could take you 6 weeks to get up to 10. It could take you 20 weeks to get up to 10. Just keep sticking at it. Look for a progression all of the time. The one thing I will say when trying to improve strength is focus on the speed of the concentric rep. So we're talking about with a pull-up, focus on the pulling speed, and then make sure you're not training to failure on every set, okay? Stop 1 rep short of failure on every single set that you do. That's going to tax your nervous system a little bit less, and the chances are you'll progress a little bit quicker in the long term when it comes to a strength goal like that. Right, there's the end of the questions. So we are going to figure out the next one of my notes we're going to go through. This week, to fill all this silent time, rather than thinking off the top of my head, I made some notes. I know what you're thinking. I'm using this initiative, this boy. Next thing, we're talking about our live UP online coaching programs. Some of you may know about them, some of you may not. These are our lowest cost online coaching programs ever. They're run by me through an online forum on Facebook. Now, some of you have been asking why there are male programs and why there are female programs. Why are they divided? The reality is we are not equal. When it comes to this stuff, we are not equal. We have different needs, different wants, different requirements that have to be catered for specifically. To give you an example of that, if we take a female, the average female who's going to come to me and ask for training, they're going to say, I want to lose some body fat. I want to tone up my upper body, but I don't want to get any bigger. But I want nice thighs, big round bum, etc. Whereas the guy will tell me the opposite. The guy will say, I don't really give a shit about my legs, but I want a big rounded upper body, I want a big chest, big back, big shoulders, big traps. Now, obviously, those are very, very different wants. This means the requirements of the program are then very, very different. We have to train a female very differently to how we train a male, and vice versa. The same applies with nutrition. Your nutritional needs as male and female are very, very, very different, largely because of your hormonal systems and how they need to be favorably manipulated in order to get the fat loss response or the muscle building response that we need. So this is why we always try to program differently, very differently for male and female. Different wants, different needs. It's a necessity. Darren, cheers, mate. No problem. How do I recover from DOMS quicker? Stufa. DOMS, for those of you who may be watching who don't know, delayed onset muscle soreness. It's the soreness you feel right after you've trained or the next couple of days after you've trained. Best thing for you, when you get home after a big session where you know you're going to hit it, get in a hot bath, okay? It's going to help blood flow. It's going to help get rid of some of the free radicals and the chemicals that build, or the compounds that build up in your muscle that cause excessive DOMS. Secondly, magnesium salts in that bath. Get some Epsom salts, magnesium salts. Thirdly, some topical magnesium. Okay, cream magnesium. You can get it on our website, upfitness.com, so get on over there. Rub that on the troubled areas and it will speed it up quite a lot. Finally, but possibly most importantly, enough water and the correct nutrition. These are vital if you want to recover quickly. Obviously, these are, pissing in the wind, essentially. You're going to get DOMs, it's going to hurt, it's going to suck. You kind of just got to, suck it up and get on with it. But these things can help. Paul Delaney, my diet's not too bad. If anything, I don't think I ate enough. Maybe it's my eating all over the place apart from breakfast. I wouldn't have a proper lunch or dinner. Paul Delaney, you've just answered your own question there, my friend. Straight in there. You've just identified a few areas where you can improve, so I suggest you improve them, and you may well find that body fat disappears. Elliot, why do you buy your meat in 600 gram packs? Interested, trying to buy my meat in weekly packs. Michael, the reason I buy mine separated is because I'm super lazy when it comes to cooking. I hate cooking with a passion. There are few people on the planet that dislike cooking and food prep more than me. Now, this is ironic considering I ran a food prep business. I get my butcher to pre-cut and pre-weigh all of my meat and pack it into 600 gram packs. Why? Because that is the amount of meat I eat a day on top of my breakfast. So I get up first thing, I have my breakfast, which can be eggs, or this week it's been salmon in the morning, and then I've already got my pre-packed meat for the day, my 600 grams of meat on top of my breakfast. I then have a couple of carbs or two fist-sized potatoes, and then my fat portions. The reason I ask my butcher to weigh it out is because it's efficient for me. It's very, very efficient. Even that tiny little thing of not having to cut it up myself, not having to weigh it myself, probably saves me an hour a week, maybe more. That hour a week I can use to work. I can use to do something different. I can use to figure out a new way to help you guys. Okay, so that is important to me. I'm quite a busy man. I do a lot of stuff. As you can see, I work until late night almost every night, 7 days a week. So time is valuable to me. If I can get anybody to do anything else that I don't want to, then I will try to do that. Laura, I'm reading a book, Thinner, Leaner, Stronger. It recommends cutting calories and lifting to lose fat and build muscle. Based on 1.2 grams of protein, 1 gram of carb. Should I eat? Laura, that's very, very low. I actually know the book you're talking about. I've got it just over there in my bookcase. I read it a few years ago. It is way too low. This goes back to a point which I mentioned. I don't know if I put it on this previous live chat, but one that was very unsuccessful, or this one here. Don't start a diet at the lowest possible point. If you start a diet at the lowest possible point, it's going to cause you problems. What you need to be looking at is, for most females, I would say a ballpark area to start with. Really, if you're training, is probably 16 to 1800 calories worth of food. That's a nice place to start, probably at the higher end of that, and see what happens. If you're on 1800 calories worth of food, there's a good chance you're going to start to lose a bit of fat. What you then do, providing you're training, is you wait until you stop losing fat and you take a little bit away. Okay, by starting down at 1100 calories, you're probably going to cause yourself more problems than good. That book, it has some interesting points in it, but it's not something I would hang on to. And realistically, the guy's results that he gets from that book are a little bit pants. So it's not something I buy into too much. Michael, you're welcome. Linas, if my gym session is at late night, any tips on how to schedule my 500 gram carb intake on a spike day into 5 meals that I'm having? 500 grams a day, if you're having that on a spiking day, just put 100 grams per meal. There's not really much you can do there. I would just, if I was advising a client, I would say keep it simple, don't complicate things for you, and just add 500 a meal. Theoretically, if you're having a 500 gram carb spike day, you should be super insulin sensitive. You're already probably very lean. You're carrying a good amount of muscle mass. If not, I would question why you're having 500 grams of carbs on a refeed day. But if all of those variables are as I would suspect, then you're not going to have any problems having carbs in every meal that day. Not a problem at all. Laura, by the way, I'm 5'11", or 5 foot, 110 pounds, should be cutting calories and maintaining. Yeah, Laura, as I say, I would actually try to keep a food diet. The best way to work out your calories for a fat loss diet. Right now, are you maintaining weight? Are you losing weight? Or are you gaining weight? Okay, that's the first thing you need to identify. Which of the three are you doing? Now, look at what you're eating now. Measure it for 3 days. Record everything. Then work out the average of those 3 days. Once you know that figure, a bit of logic is going to tell you whether it's already too low or it's high. If it's high, obviously that's the more beneficial area, because you know if you just take a little bit of calories away from that, you're going to start to drop fat. So rather than going off a formula or any of these numbers or a little bit of maths that people put out there, everybody is too different. So look at what you're maintaining on now, if you are maintaining, and then decide from there roughly where your calorie levels are. Explaining toning, please. Toning is the pointless word that so many people use to say they want to change their body, that they want to get leaner and they want to gain muscle, but they don't want to get leaner or gain muscle. Okay, toning, that is what toning is. It's creating a more visible, firmer muscle, therefore building muscle and getting leaner. Essentially, that's the definition, but it's one that people seem to think is different to building muscle and burning fat. Stefan Trevor, how do I cut my body fat? I'm over 50 years old, train 4 times a week with Nick's TX program, 1780 calories daily. What is your weight, Stefan? That'd be the first question I ask. 50 years old, obviously, it's very, very difficult for you. As you get into your 50s, 40s, 50s, etc., testosterone is dropping. Your body's not in a great hormonal position to gain muscle and drop fat unless you've got very, very good genetics. However, there are a lot of things that can be done there. Number one, supplementation to help bring your testosterone up. If you go onto the website, upfitness.com, and go to the Live UP supplement stack, you'll find it in the supplement store. Go to the Basics tab. That's going to optimize your testosterone. It's got everything in it you need to optimize hormonal health as a male. We do the same thing for you females. Just FYI for those of you girls listening in. Once you have that, 98 kilos. Stefan, at those calories, I would suggest you probably need a little bit more food. Probably nudge that up to about 2,200 and you might be okay. And then try that. But as I say, make sure you're supplementing correctly in order to maintain testosterone levels. Make sure you are recovering enough. Remember, you're not going to recover at the same speed as you maybe did when you were 25. So make sure you're prioritizing sleep. Make sure you're not taking in anything that's going to drop your testosterone levels, such as alcohol, processed food, etc. Do yourself as many favors as you can. And again, another big one, a missing variable for so many of you when going on a fat loss diet or even a hypertrophy diet, anything to try and build muscle or burn fat, is you neglect your greens. Okay, you neglect your greens. Do not neglect your greens. This is a really, really big problem that so many of you have. I don't personally believe that a vegan diet is a healthy choice. I get it. I understand this is going to cause a lot of controversy. It isn't a healthy choice because you become deficient in so many things. This is why most vegans look nearly dead or are overweight. But is that to say that a meat eater's diet, a carnivorous diet, is healthy? No, because of the way we do it. What should really happen is we should all eat like vegetarians, but just throw in about a half a kilo to a kilo of meat a day. That's how we should be doing things, okay? So don't neglect your greens. 5-8. Okay, thanks. I thought there was some complicated equation to do. What books would you recommend? Laura, honestly, when it comes to diet and working things out, is the theory, the equations are one thing. They're all well and good, but they are hugely variable, dependent on somebody's genetics, dependent on someone's exercise history, health history, your own individual metabolic set point, your rest and recovery, your digestion. There's so many things that need to be taken into account. So the theory behind a particular equation is one thing. The practice is very, 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 very different. So as I say, work out what you're eating now on an average. Identify through logic whether it is already too low or it's of a suitable amount, and then look at taking calories away from there. With regards to books, I would recommend on nutrition. Honestly, there aren't that many out there that give you any information that's particularly useful at this stage. We are working on one right now, which is going to give you an awful lot of useful information. But a lot of it is just regurgitated data that you know already, that you've read already a million times over. It's just been painted with a different brush. Okay, so are there many books that I really rate on nutrition? There's going to be a lot of trainers out there that don't like me for this. There's going to be a lot of my own peers who don't like me for this. But no, there really aren't that many. For me, the best course I've ever done in nutrition was Precision Nutrition. It's a brilliant certification. But again, not because of the nutrition content there, because of the coaching content, how it teaches you how to coach clients. So any particular books, I'm going to say not at this stage, not that I can remember off the top of my head anyway. I'll go to my bookshelf later and see if there's anything that will jog my memory on that. Michael Henshaw, 160 grams of protein per day. That, bear in mind, Michael, that's just my meat. As I say, I have a protein breakfast, which is going to be eggs, red meat, or salmon. So we're talking about another 25 to 30 grams there. And I also have my post-workout shake, which is another 50. So my daily intake's about 220, and my weight is 100 kilos. Although you'd never tell from my arms, the curse of my body. No problem, Paul. You're welcome. I'm just going to catch a quick drink. Right, we've got a bit of silent time. So, I'm going to go back to my notes. Hit a question that we've not done. What are we talking about? Eating out, traveling with work, anything like that, hotels, room service, etc. It can be a really, really challenging time. This is something that's come up on our live UP forums, the community forums that we run for our online coaching programs. As some of you may have seen from my Instagram, I was in Dubai recently working, and in my hotel, room service is very, very challenging. Anyone who's been to Dubai knows that the food is incredible, but it's often not necessarily put together in the healthiest way. Now, the easiest way, when in a restaurant or when in a hotel who you can only get room service with, you haven't got self-catering, you haven't got food prep, anything like that, is to look at a menu. Take your menu and identify in that menu what meals they have. Right, so I know that they've got a burger and chips. I know that they have got a chicken korma. I know that they have got side plates of vegetables. Every hotel will have side plates of vegetables. From what I've just mentioned, I can ask this hotel, and every single hotel is going to bow down to it. Every restaurant is going to bow down to it. Remember, we live in the age of TripAdvisor, where every single review that any customer puts online is very, very public now. Okay, so these people will bend over backwards to help you. I know that they've got a burger and chips, they've got a chicken korma, and they have side dishes of vegetables. So what do? Do I take any one of them, which is what a lot of people are doing when they're out? No, I do not. I say, right, can I have the burger? It tells me here it's 100% beef, it's 200 grams, you know, Wagyu beef burger. I want the burger, but just the meat. Don't give me the burger, don't give me any of the trimmings. I also want the rice from the chicken korma. I want a side plate of vegetables. Every single hotel in the world will happily do that for you. Happily do that for you. Yes, of course, being out of routine, being out of your home surroundings can be challenging when it comes to sticking to a diet. But is it impossible? No, it isn't. With a little bit of willpower and thinking like that, instead of looking at the meals, look at the ingredients that make up those meals, and then decide what you want to eat from that based on what your diet allows. Stefan Trevor, why didn't Nick open up a gym in Hull? I'm not sure. There is a market there for us currently, but you never know. Maybe something from the future. You'll have to ask Nick on that one. What books on muscle building do you rate then? Obviously, The Prince of Bodybuilding is one. For me, Strength Training Anatomy by Frederick Delavier, because of the anatomy and physiology. The better knowledge you have of anatomy and physiology and the way muscles move, the better you are going to be able to manipulate mechanics in order to get the most out of it. What else do I like? I've got one over there called Huge and Freaky, which is brilliant. I can't remember the name of the author. Huge and Freaky bodybuilding book I've got over there. It's got some nice workouts in it. What else do I really like? With regards to any other publications, I'm less than books. I'm more so picking particular people that I like to learn from. People like Christian Thibodeau, people like Nick, people like Charles Poliquin, Milos Sarcev. I tend, rather than reading books too often, I used to when I was younger, but I'm more inclined to pick something in particular that I want to know, and then I go to one of their websites, go to one of their blogs, or I ask them directly. You know, I'm in a very fortunate position that I can ask them directly, and I research that specific subject. Why? Because I find reading very, very difficult. I can read perfectly, you know, but I'm not. My attention span is very, very short. And, you know, I'm a bit frantic. I'm a little bit all over the place sometimes, which means reading is very, very difficult for me because I have to read a page 10 times in order to take the information in. However, if it's acute information and something that I want or need to know, I find it a lot easier. So when I was younger, I used to read a lot of books, the ones I've just mentioned. Now, the books that I read are more business-based as I'm maturing, as I'm growing. But the technical knowledge that I want to gain, I look for specifics when it pops up. You know, I'm quite lucky. I have a fairly good general knowledge anyway. So now it is more specifics that I need to look at. So that would be my advice on books to read. It's actually don't read books on training. Is find the specifics that you want to learn. Find people who know as much as possible about that subject. And then either ask them or read everything on that subject that they have ever put together. Michael Henshaw. I'm about 5'11". I'm just gauging what I roughly should be on. I'm 13 stone, 5'9", need to lose body fat about 25%. Michael, I mean, I would suggest follow what Nick has put in the book. You won't believe this, but he's pretty damn good at what he does. Pretty damn good. Depending on your activity levels, somewhere around the 2,000 to 2,200 calorie mark, I would suggest is about right for you calorie-wise. But we can't go into that much detail on these live feeds because it's a bit too specific. Stufa, will there be a UP in Italia or too much bureaucracy? Hard to say, Stufa. You know, if I could give you a half of the information of what Nick has had to go through here in Spain, we may run away whenever anyone offers the opportunity for us to go and open in Italy, but I don't know. For some reason, I can't use my words tonight. This is the one problem with doing these live feeds late at night. Karen, I'm 5'5" and 55 kilos, all the fives. I've done what you suggested. I'm maintaining on 1,800 calories. I'm stronger but not seeing the muscle growth I would like. I have 90 to 100 grams of protein. Maybe I should up my calories. First things first, Karen, is to let me know, are you progressing in the gym? If you're progressing in the gym, then you're gaining muscle, potentially. Remember, as a female, you're not going to gain muscle quickly. If, however, you are staying lean on those calories, then absolutely take them up, because your goal should always be to be as lean as possible on as many calories as possible. Okay? Good advice on hotel food. No problem, Trevor. It works for me, so fingers crossed it will work for the rest of you. Will UP Fitness be opening any gyms in Scotland? Laura, I can't tell you. We did have some interest in Glasgow a little while ago. Was it Glasgow or Edinburgh? I can't remember which one. But it's one of those. Maybe watch this space, see what happens. Michael, no problem. Oh, God. I've got the worst DOMs in my chest I think I've had in about 3 years. Sucks. Absolutely sucks. Right, we've got a silent time, so I'll go back to my notes, see if there's anything interesting in there. We are going to talk about calories, setting calories for a diet. As I've just mentioned right then to Karen, is your ideal situation is getting lean on as many calories as possible. This means when setting up a diet, it needs to be built in layers. Do not use everything you have at once. Don't take away all of your calories at once. Don't do as many training sessions as possible at once. Don't do as many cardio sessions as possible at once. Leave some bullets in the gun just in case you hit a plateau. Build your diet up in layers. Build your training up in layers. Only add what you need to add rather than adding everything you possibly can. Karen, yes, you're progressing and lean, so I'll up it a bit and be patient. There you go. As I say, remember, you're not going to put on muscle as fast as your average guy because you've got much, much lower testosterone. You know, you're not likely to be able to do that, so do be patient with yourself. That's very important. Laura, you're welcome. Come on, whatever, no. Step goals. Step goals, we'll hit the step goals one nice. Next, like that. Hi Elliot, will there be a volume 2 of the Principles of book? There sure will, Harry. That is going to be coming out, I would reckon, sometime around June. So keep an eye out for that. What I will suggest is go over to the website, get on the mailing list if you're not already. Go to upfitness.com, go onto the mailing list, sign up there, and you can pre-order. You can get your copy of the book in early because the previous one sold out pretty quickly and there were people waiting. So this one you can again pre-order so you get your copy way ahead of everybody else. Richard Kovacs, what is my opinion on protein overconsumption? Do you think we tend to focus too much on eating more protein than we use? Richard, I do believe it's a thing, to be honest. Especially in the fitness industry, a lot of the time I've come up against, and this is one especially true for females, my specialist area is females. I'm very, very, very good at getting transformations out of females. What I've found for most females in the fitness industry who are doing everything they can to get results, they, on the face of it, are getting everything right, is most of them are eating too much protein. You know, I'm taking in females who are coming to me as a new client who are eating 150 to 180 grams of protein a day. There is no way in hell that a female's digestive system is going to break down that amount. What that's going to do is cause digestive disruption, hormonal disruption, elevate stress hormones and cortisol. So yes, I do believe there is such a thing as protein overeating. What I do find though is the opposite is true of men. men tend to undereat on protein, you know. When I've got guys bitching and whining about eating 120 grams of protein and wondering why they're not getting lean and they're not building muscle, a guy is going to have to be on somewhere between 180 and 200, I would suggest, for most people, average-sized guys. Obviously, if you're sitting at the other end of this feed and you're 130 kilos and 10% body fat, then yeah, you're going to need a lot more. But protein overeating is a thing. It can cause problems, not just on face value. It's not just about calories or this, that, and the other. There is more to it, especially when it comes to digestive stress. Is beta-alanine by itself okay to take when it's not part of a pre-workout drink? Yeah, of course. You may well get some tingles. That's quite likely. You'll get some tingles as your vascular system opens up a little bit. But yeah, no problem at all. Does anyone else sit and pick the calluses on their hand? It's not good. It's not good. I used to chew them, but I'm trying to refrain from that while I'm sitting here on these. What have we got? Right. So we're on a bit of a silent point at the moment. So we're going to talk about steps. Formal cardio versus achieving a step goal. One of the things we tend to focus on with our clients, for those of you who don't like formal cardio, who don't like getting on a treadmill or don't like going out for a walk, I love going for my walks. First thing in the morning before breakfast, every morning, unless I'm crazy busy, I go out for my walk before I do anything else to make sure it's done. And I love it. It sets my brain up right, it sets my body up right. But for those of you who don't like doing formal walks or doing formal cardio, the other option is to try and achieve a step goal. Now, step goals can be achieved in many ways. They can be getting off a bus stop one earlier, train, tube ride one earlier. It can be walking up the stairs rather than taking the escalators, things like that. These are all ways of getting your step goal, achieving your step goal. Now, when not achieving your step goal, we need to break it down and look at, for most men, 1 mile worth of walking, brisk walking, is about 100 calories. Okay, so let's say if we give you a 10,000 step goal per day, it's going to be about 5 miles. 500 calories a day just in your walking. That's outside of your training. That's outside of your basic needs for calories. Okay, so this is creating quite a big deficit. It's potentially going to really encourage fat loss. Over a week, those 500 calories are going to be 3,500 calories. For most of you are likely to know that there's about a pound of fat to be lost there. Now, that's going to work out quite a lot over the period of a transformation. If you're not hitting your step goals, if you're getting up in the morning, getting in your car, sitting down, going to work, sitting down, finishing work, having a quick workout, sitting down on benches for most of it, then going home and sitting down on your sofa, you're not going to burn much fat very quickly. You're not going to get your transformation. Don't neglect your step goals, okay? Even you females with shorter legs, lighter body weight, per mile, you're still going to burn about 75 calories. But obviously, it's all swings and roundabouts, right? It's all even because your overall metabolic need is lower anyway. So it's about exactly the same. So don't. If you're choosing to go for a step goal to make your life easier rather than formal cardio, don't neglect it. Don't miss your step goal. Be thorough on that. Michael Henshaw, do I take digestive enzymes? I sure do. I take them with every single meal. I do come off them intermittently, but if I'm finding I'm having, especially when I'm stressed out, particularly stressed or I'm not sleeping well, I can feel that my digestive system doesn't work as well as it should. Reason being is when cortisol is up, my HCl, or your stomach acid essentially, the production of stomach acid goes down, so you can do with a bit of extra help. So I have our own UP digestive enzyme. I'm just going to see if that's them. No, that's curcumin and D3. I have our own UP digestive enzymes that I take 1 capsule with every single meal I take. And that usually sets me right again. Then when I'm good and I'm settled, I come back off. Right, there we go, on a silent spot. Let's see if I've got any more notes here. What are we going at? Finally, we'll look at another one that I was discussing with one of our junior trainers here in Marbella today. The final stages of a diet, when you've got really, really lean, you've dieted hard for 6, 8, 12 weeks, whatever it may be. It's very, very important that when you achieve your goal, you don't just flip back the other way and go crazy. If you do that, you are going to gain fat. You are likely to give yourself some digestive distress, potentially make yourself ill. What do you need to do? Once you've got down to the final stages of a diet, obviously you'll have brought your calories down pretty low. You start to taper them back up gently. You do need to control this. Of course, when you've got to the bottom end of a diet, have a day off, have a weekend off, whatever it may be, have some food that you like, give yourself a bit of respite. But then you want to do what we call reverse dieting. So let's say you've dieted down to 1,600 calories. If you then go back to your normal eating habits of 2,500, 3,000, you're going to get fat. Simple as that, because your body has got used to burning. You know, let's say if your final stages of a diet, we're down at 1,600 calories, your body's got used to burning about 1,800 calories, right? Therefore, if you go up to 2,500 calories, you've got 700 calories that are going to be stored as fat, okay? What's better to do at this stage is once you get down to that bottom end is you increase by, let's say, 100 a week. You give your body enough calories to start saying, okay, I'm getting fed here, and start to speed up. What you'll find by going through a process of doing this a few times is that, certainly in my experience, I don't know whether there's a science behind this because I've never checked, but certainly kind of anecdotally in things that I've seen in my career, is that when you do this and you do it properly over time, your metabolic set point, i.e. the amount of food you can eat but stay lean, maintain your body weight, it actually improves over time. So you end up eating a lot more food whilst maintaining your body weight. So make sure when you get to the bottom end of a diet, you don't just flip it the other way and start eating whatever you ate before. Gradually take your calorie intake back up over time. You know, if it takes out, you know, it comes to the point where you take it back up and you feel like you soften up again, but you gain a little bit of extra body fat, just stop there for an extra week. What you'll find is that your body catches up with itself, you start to get leaner again, then you can add a bit more, okay? Take it slowly, be patient. Laura Cunningham, what benefit does HIT provide if you add it into a weekly program where you're doing 3 GBC sessions? It's going to burn extra calories, it's going to increase your metabolic output, it's going to burn more fat and speed everything up for you, really, providing it's programmed right. Of course, if it's programmed incorrectly, it's too intense or it's too long, it can have the opposite effect, but things need to be programmed in very, very carefully, but you know, it's going to do nothing but good. 2 HRT sessions. For me, for instance, if I were putting together a workout, I would suggest 3 full body sessions or 3 weight training sessions and 2 high intensity interval training sessions, which are no longer than 20 to 30 minutes maximum, and something that isn't overly complex. By overly complex, I don't mean you know, you go in and do something like CrossFit, which is lots of big lifts. I mean, you go on a treadmill and you do some deadmill sprints, or you do some hill sprints, or you do some prowler pushes or sled drag, something like that. You know, these are not neurally technical lifts. They're not things that are going to tax your system and diminish your performance in the gym. Richard Kovacs, you're welcome, no problem. I say this one will be up free to watch, of course. The only ones that you can't re-watch again and again and again are the ones on Instagram, but these ones on Facebook you can go back to time and time again. I apologise for being tongue-twisted a little bit tonight. My brain doesn't work terribly well when I'm stressed out. And for those of you who only joined in a bit late, we had an absolute mare tonight on this. I spent the best part of an hour trying to get this to be visible to you all. I believe at one point it was visible, but I couldn't see your comments. And then the next time you could comment and blah, 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 blah. Finally, third time lucky, it all went right. So thank you for being patient with me tonight, people. I appreciate that. We'll go for about another 20 minutes, so come at me with some questions. We will see what else I've got kicking around. What other crazy little things have I seen this week that I can throw at you for a moment of silence that we're currently in? Hip thrusts. Hip thrusts. This is something I see very, very wrong. I saw a seasoned veteran trainer, fitness personality, whatever you want to call them. And this is someone with hundreds of thousands of people, apparent followers. Hip thrusting, hip thrust, glute bridge, whatever you want to call it. The key to getting a hip thrust right, that hip extension, is to tilt your pelvis, okay? Imagine you're trying to roll your pelvis back towards your face. If we imagine you're tipping your genitals towards your sternum. You're basically trying to pull them this way. Okay? You're not arching your back. If you're arching your back during a hip thrust, you're not going to be getting the best out of it. You're going to overload the back. You're going to work the hamstrings probably more than you're going to actually hit the glutes. Yeah, of course, you can squeeze at the top, which means you're going to feel it. But are you actually loading it through the movement? Unlikely. So make sure you're tilting your pelvis when going through a hip thrust. Focus on that. Secondly, again, I saw this one on Instagram. I think he's like officially has more followers than any other male fitness personality in history. Some of you may know who I'm talking about. Doing a cable Ab crunch. Remember, when you're training your abs, it's about spinal flexion. Your back has to bend like this, okay? That spinal flexion is what the abs are doing. That is their job. If, however, your hips are the ones doing the flexing and your back is arrow straight, which is what this guy was doing because he's clueless, you're not going to be working your abs, you're going to be working your hips. Please ensure that when you're doing any kind of crunch movement, that you focus on rolling the vertebra and you crunch the abs. Imagine you're, again, we talk about what we're just talking about in the hip thrust. Imagine you're trying to bring your genitals and your sternum as close together as possible, okay? Not flexing the hips. If your back is arrow straight and your knees are just moving towards your hips or your chest is just moving towards your knees without any bend in the back, you're not training your abs. Some of you are going to argue, oh, but I feel it. You feel it because it's a static movement, okay? Your body is maintaining tension through the movement. But are you getting the most out of it? No, you are not. Stufa, read the PHA GBC article. How come no ab exercises? I can't tell you why there are no ab exercises in there because I didn't write it. But PHA, peripheral heart action, for those of you who don't know, which is, it's known by many names, vascular shunting. It's basically training one area of the body, then training an opposing area of the body. The most effective way to do this is upper and lower. So let's say we did a superset, i.e. one exercise right after the other. I did a set of squats, then straight into a set of pull-ups. That would be PHA, peripheral heart action. It shunts all the blood in one direction, then it forces the body to shunt it all in the other direction. It's a very efficient, time-efficient way of training and an incredibly efficient way of burning fat quickly. Probably, my guess is the reason I didn't throw any abs in there is because it's right in the middle and it doesn't really fit. Laura, you're welcome. No problem. Tell your friends, tell everyone, share it on your Facebook, share it on your social media profiles. Remember, guys and girls, the more you share these things, the more information I can give out because other people will ask more questions. It becomes a meeting of the minds. Right, are you going to have an Easter egg? Thanks for all of your advice. Am I going to have an Easter egg? I've been traveling, I'll let you in some. I've been traveling that much recently, various things with work, various other responsibilities that I've had to deal with. That I feel like I've spent more time on a plane than I have in my own bed recently, which is amazing. I love traveling a lot. I'm very, very lucky to do what I do, to have this job, to work for UP and be able to teach you guys from all over the world. But as you may have seen, sometimes I'm in my hotel room at 3 o'clock in the morning in Dubai doing these live feeds. Sometimes I'm in the UK, sometimes I'm here, there, everywhere. This means that my training, my diet has been fine. My training has not been as consistent as it should be because sometimes it's been less than progressive. You know, when I have a well-equipped gym, I can always be very progressive with my training. When I have a hotel gym, sometimes all I have the only option I have is to kind of burn some calories and keep fit. Okay, it's important for me now that I really need to kind of dial it in and get myself back in shape. Summer's coming up. I don't really have an excuse. So will I be having an Easter egg? I'm not sure I will. If I do, I will literally have all of them, and this is my problem. Steady state cardio or steps? Steady state cardio or steps? What do you mean, Michael? Fish oil in liquid or capsules? What would you recommend and why? Linas, whatever you prefer would be my recommendation. For me, providing you can get one that's flavoured or you drink it with some lemon juice or something afterwards so you're not burping up fish. Whichever you prefer. The key is, again, with anything supplement, is to make sure you're getting your supplements from a reputable supplier. Make sure you know and you have faith in them that they know exactly what's in that supplement. Now, we're talking a very, very small percentage of the supplements industry do this. Most of them can't tell you where they're fish, for instance, in a fish oil. The seas that we have in this planet now, because of the assholes that we are as people, they are very, very toxic. They're full of chemicals, full of crap. You're better off trying to source things like fish oil from more Arctic sources, places where the ocean is relatively untouched by man. This is going to be far better for you. How often do you encourage training to failure? Rarely. Very, very rarely would be the key to that. You know, it's nice to redline it sometimes, to go over the top and really push yourself. But is training to failure going to do you much good? Not necessarily. If Training to controlled failure has a place for someone who has good recovery factors, for someone whose nutrition is in line, for someone who lifts well. And by lift well, I mean pays attention to their form, pays attention to the tension, doesn't lift with their ego. Then these people, and they're few and far between, trust me, they can take the last set of every exercise to failure, but not smashing themselves every single workout. That's not necessarily going to be productive. UN family, can you explain bulking and toning? I explained toning to you earlier. That's essentially just fat loss. Bulking is gaining muscle, getting bigger. What are your thoughts on high-intensity resistance training? High-intensity resistance training, you mean weight training? I can't give you any information on that because I've not read that specific. It sounds like a new name for the same thing that everybody's been doing for about 100 years. More than that, actually. Millennia. Can't tell. UN family, what supplements are vital, if any? UN family, if you go to upfitness.com and you go up to the supplements section, in the supplements section you click the basics tab. Once you're in the basics tab, you go to the live UP essentials for both male or females. Those are my supplement stacks that I believe are the essentials that cover every possible base. Okay, they're going to cover hormonal health. They're going to optimize your body composition, optimize your recovery, optimize your energy, and optimize your sleep. So for me, that is the be-all and end-all for supplements. Those are the ones you want as far as I'm concerned. Everything else on top of that is down to specifics. Okay, it's down to what ailment do you have as a client, as an individual, and then I would prescribe supplements for that specifically on top of these stacks. UN family, do I suggest a calorie count and weigh all food? It's very, very valuable in the short term. Yes, it can be used to get yourself in great shape and to educate yourself about food. Is it something that you necessarily need to do long term? No, I wouldn't say it is, because once you've educated yourself about food, once you know what you're looking at, once you know what you're eating, what you're taking in, you can back off and you can generalize it a little bit more by using rules as opposed to, anal tracking. Fat burning, either steady state or general walking, or do you do BPM? Michael, whichever you prefer, honestly. If you're going to do step goals, I would just be conscious that you're walking pretty fast. Don't dawdle, don't mooch around. Try to make your walking relatively purposeful. If you can't do that, if you can't commit to doing that, some people like formal cardio. Some people need that. They need to go into the gym and stand on the treadmill and get it done. Otherwise, they won't do it. So whatever works for you. UN family, who is the best trainer you're aware of? Nick Mitchell, 100%. 100%. I know a lot of trainers. I've met a lot of trainers over the years. Some incredible, some good, and some terrible. I've learned from every single one of them. All of them have very different skill sets as well. But if you're asking me who the best personal trainer is, if I were to train with anybody on the planet, if I were to give them my hard-earned cash and say, I want a result, I would go straight to Nick. 100% every time. When you're training a specific muscle or muscle group, does it burn fat closest to that muscle? John, I don't believe it does, no. This is one of those things. I think it's recently started to come back into the mainstream to say that, if you train your chest, you're going to burn fat on your chest. If you train your arms, you're going to burn fat on your arms. Nah, I really don't think it is. Your body's going to use stored energy from where it has it, okay? So if you've got pretty lean arms and you train your arms every single day, but you've got fat stored on your gut, is it going to take fat from your arms? No, it's not. It's going to take it from your gut. So I don't know why this has suddenly come back into fashion, because it has started doing the rounds on social media. But do I believe that that is the case? No, I'm not sure I do. Okay, guys, we're going to go for about another 10 minutes. 10 minutes before we are out. So make sure you keep those questions coming in thick and fast. We'll cover anything you want. As I mentioned earlier on, if you enjoy what you see in these live feeds, please do, especially on the YouTube one and on the Facebook one, share them to your profiles. Let people know if they can come in, if they can use this as a resource to cut through some of the smoke and mirrors. I'll happily answer anything on here, providing it is legal and providing it's not going to, upset anyone too much, then I will do my best to always give you the best information I can. Let's see if there's any missed messages that have been spammed out. No, we're all good. Nothing has been spammed out. We are fine. How often and when do you recommend complex carb intake? Depends on the person, UN family. Some people are more tolerant to carbs than others, so I would give them more carbs. I would potentially spread it out further throughout the day. Other people are less tolerant to carbs, i.e. they carry more fat, they have more stored potential energy, so they have a lower need for that glucose. If it's one of the latter, i.e. someone who's carrying a bit of extra body fat, or I don't necessarily think needs carbs quite so much, then I will shift the carbs towards the end of the day as opposed to the beginning of the day. If it's someone who's super lean, if I've got a client who's 8% and really, really lean, trains regularly, then I have no objection to giving them carbs with every single meal of the day. Because I know their body's going to use them adequately and use them well. John Michael Murphy, what percentage of 1 rep max should you train with? It depends on the modality you're training. Are you training for strength? Are you training for endurance? Are you training for hypertrophy? And realistically, do I believe that that is necessarily, if we're talking about body composition, do I believe that that's something you should be hanging on to? I don't necessarily think so, no. I think it's been a little bit too anal about it when it comes to body composition. When it comes to strength goals, overall strength goals, potentially, yeah, it can be used. What qualifications do you need to be a personal trainer at UP Fitness? Honestly, Shamir, you just need to be qualified initially, because every trainer who makes it through our very, 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 very hard interview process, there's case studies to do, there are multiple interviews. We need to make sure that you are the trainer that we need as part of this business. If you get through that, you are then put into the junior year. The junior year is a very, very, very challenging year for our young PTs or old PTs. You know, we have juniors who are 45 years old. This is where we will teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be a UP trainer. It's widely said that our juniors, 3 months into being a junior, will know more than trainers who have been doing this for 15, 20 years. You know, that's a fact. So what do you need as a starting point? You need to be qualified. You need to be a good person. You need to have integrity, honesty, loyalty. You need to have qualities as a human that we look for in an employee, as a part of the UP family. If you have them, you have the qualification, and the rest we can help you with. Post-workout, is dextrose best? My guess would be, if you have to ask, food is probably best. I'm not a massive fan of post-workout powders, things like dextrose and dextrin, etc. I would rather give somebody food. For me, A, it's going to stop them from cheating later on in the day. B, do I necessarily think they should be shoveling loads of stuff into their body? Unnecessarily, no, I don't. Obviously, that's a perfectly fine thing to be shoveling into your body. But again, unless you're super, super lean already, which I would imagine most people joining this chat to ask me questions are not. I'm making an assumption there, yes. I would suggest you're better off with food rather than complicating it with more supplements. Linas, what is my favourite breakfast? My favourite breakfast would be some kind of minced beef, chili, bolognese kind of thing. I love red meat. I love minced red meat. I'm completely addicted to it. It's one of the few things I actually get cravings for. And I have been known in the past to sit down in front of a 2-kilo tub of chili that I've just cooked, planning it for at least a couple of days, and eating the whole lot in one go. I'm that guy. So something like that would be my favourite breakfast. That or an omelette from a cafe near me called Passion Cafe. These omelettes are absolutely bang tidy. Is it sensible to take good fat before training? Yes, absolutely it is. Fats are a very, very readily available source of energy. They're going to give you a bit of a boost before you train. So absolutely, yes, it is. For those of you who are particularly lean, carbs can help you, but I would suggest having them a couple of hours at least before you train. For those of you who are carrying any extra body fat, carbs before your training may not necessarily be the right thing. There are variables to take into account with that as well, depending on your cortisol levels, you know, are you highly stressed, etc. Carbs can help with that. Awesome. I love steak and eggs myself. I do love steak, but I tell you what, the worst thing is I went to the Meat Co in Dubai. I've been to some amazing steak restaurants all over the world, but the one that took it for me was I went with a friend of mine in Dubai to the Meat Co in the Al Qasar in the Madinat Hotel. and I had a fillet steak in this place, and oh my God, this fillet steak was the most incredible steak I've ever had in my life. And since then, every single steak I've had, I've been like, yeah, whatever. Didn't really like it. So it was that good, it put me off steak. So now I'm much more of a minced beef kind of guy. I don't know why I like it so much, I just do. Stufa, any tips and books on meal prep, i.e. avoiding soggy salad? Stufa, what I would suggest is go and check out our website, upfitness.com, and go to the recipe section, see if Jenny, the lovely Eat Up chef, has put anything on there to help you out. With regards to soggy salad, unfortunately, you are asking the wrong man. You are asking the worst cook in the world. You are asking the least willing cook in the world. The guy who hates, I was about to say hates food the most. That is not true. I love food more than anyone else in the world. But I hate preparing food more than anyone else in the world. So I may be the wrong person to ask. But check out the recipes that Jenny's put up there. She's put loads of stuff up there. They will be very, very useful to you. Right. We've got 5 minutes left. 4 minutes left, guys. 4 minutes and counting. I hate Tupperware the most. Well, in that case, eat it out of glass. There we go. How about that? Then that's problem solved. Live UP programs, they are up and running. We have set up some fat loss programs, our cheapest online coaching yet. They are ready-made programs that you can take, both female and male specific, that I now run via the forum, the Live UP Online Community Forum. Go to the website, go to our online training section there and look for the Live UP Male or Live UP Female program. What do you get with it? These are 12 weeks worth of workouts, fat loss workouts, transformation workouts. You get full dietary advice, you get full nutrition advice, you will get full workouts, full cardio, HIT instructions so you know exactly what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it. You'll also have input from me every single day. On the Facebook forums, I'm there every single day. That's what I spend a vast amount of my day doing, communicating with everybody there. You'll also get check-ins with me once a week. So get on over there, check that out, sign up if you want a piece of it. You should want a piece of it, really, let's be honest. Do you recommend oats and cinnamon with fruit for breakfast? I've never recommended that specifically in my life, no. But is it a bad breakfast? Not necessarily. Again, for someone who's already super lean. Ideally, just protein for brekkie. For most people watching this who are probably carrying some body fat, protein and fats is usually going to do you better. Will there be a 0 chin-up to hero weighted pull-up program? Stufa, check out the website again. Type in pull-up. I'm almost certain we've put a program out for that. About maybe 18 months ago, I'm pretty certain I saw that go up. I will check after this live chat and post it in the comments myself if that's the case. But head on over there, upfitness.com. Go to the articles section or just go to the search bar in the top right and type up pull up or chin up and see what comes up. I'm certain we've put in a pull up program in there. Come on guys, 2 minutes. That is a 2 minute mark. We are counting down now. I'm going to answer, let's say, 5 more questions just in case we run over. So the next 5 questions you are getting answers. After that, I'm going to stick my fingers up at you. I won't really. I'm not that rude and I love you all. So I won't do that. God, look at that. You see, this is why my tongue gets tired. So most days I'll get up about 6 or 7 a.m. and go for my walk and do my bits, then go down to the gym to train. It's currently 10:30 tonight. This is why I keep tripping over my own gormless jaw when I'm trying to say big words and make myself sound smart today. Do you do specific nutrition plans at UP? We certainly do for all of our one-to-one online coaching and, of course, our in-house one-to-one PT clients. Everything is bespoke. Nothing is cookie cut in UP for our online coaching and our one-to-one. So yes, absolutely. If you want any more information on that, go to the website, go to the contact form, pop in your contact details there. It will ask for your location and we will send you all of the details relevant to where you are. Give you all the information you need. That's question 1. We've got 4 more. Count down 4 more. Any neck training tips? Really, not something I would usually recommend specifically because it's not my area. You know, a lot of fighters do that. Resistance bands, you know, tying a resistance band to a rack, using that. I would try and keep your neck very, very mobile. Get regular soft tissue work. Don't use your phone so much because it creates a massive imbalance of strength anterior to posterior. But but band work can usually work quite well for that. With regards to any specific neck training tips, no, I don't have any. I've never had to train any specifics when it comes to fighters, etc., if that's what you're asking. That's 2 questions down. We got 3 left. 3 is my lucky number. That was the number of live feed attempts we took tonight. That's the hour mark. Come on. We've overrun the hour again. We're going to go 3 more. Give me 3. Give me 3. Give me 3. Next 3 questions getting answered. We're at that point where my throat starts to get all gruff. 17 of you left in here. I hope somebody's typing. Let's see. What do we got? We haven't. Guys, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to drop a question in, or I'm going to vanish. It looks like everybody's gone away, so we'll check that out. 10, 9, 8, it's getting dramatic. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, no problem, Ville. Whoa, Richard, you ass. You got right in there, didn't you? Richard Kovacs, what makes, in your opinion, a great PT? What makes a great PT? A willingness to learn, an ability to take criticism, and a PT who cares. That's the key. You know, it's a very fine balance, and it's something that I've got wrong many, many times, is that part of being a trainer you can't take personally, because it can be a very, very, very taxing job if you take it too personally. You know, there's an awful lot of stuff that goes on. People are still people after all. No matter what you give to a client, no matter what you do for somebody, often that is going to get thrown back in your face, sometimes in the most hurtful ways. At those times you have to try and release things, but at other times you have to take such personal pride and care about your client so much that you want their result out of them. You need their well-being more than they do. These are the qualities that you need from a trainer. Someone who has a massive willingness to learn, someone who can take criticism, and somebody who cares about their client more than they care about themselves. Any carbs you recommend not eating? Oh no, I've missed one there. How do you recruit at UP? We have quite a brutal recruitment process. So anyone who comes in as a new trainer, they go through a massive interview process. They will go through case studies, etc. If they make it through all of them, they will go to a second round of interviews, and then so on and so forth until potentially eventually they're hired as a junior. Any carbs you recommend not eating? Way too broad a question. Way too broad a question. Don't sit and watch Netflix while sticking sugar cubes in your mouth. There's an answer. Do you sell Pentacarb? We don't. If not, do you recommend any alternatives? Europe, I can't off the top of my head, no. Recruit new trainers, exactly as I've just mentioned. UN, I hope you heard that. How can you get an interview? You can go to the website, upfitness.com, and you can go to the recruitment section, careers section, and you can apply from there. Guys, that is us. We've answered more than 5 questions there. Parting notes. Next week, we will be on Instagram, I believe. Keep your eyes out on the profiles to find out where we're doing this live Q&A. Throughout the week, carry a notepad with you when you're training, when you're doing anything, when you're eating. Write down your questions to feed into this forum. Not only do you asking the questions, it will give you the answer that you need, it's also going to help everybody else in these live feeds out, anyone else who watches these live feeds. So do please put the effort into doing that. I want to make sure you have all the information you could possibly need to get the results that you want. Secondly, for those of you who need the extra little bit of help, go over to the website, upfitness.com. We have a bunch of options there that can help you out. Live UP, these are our online coaching programs, our lowest cost online coaching programs. They have just been released. They are picking up momentum now. You're going to love them. Get in there soon before we have no space. Secondly, if you want a more one-to-one approach or you have specific needs, you've got the option of our one-to-one online training, and that is also up on the website, upfitness.com, so pop on over there and check it out. Finally, if you are near one of our gyms and you want to do personal training, send an inquiry through the form on the website. We will forward you any details we can with regards to what's going on at your gym, the trainer availability, and the costing for that. If you can't afford the personal training, we also do group training in almost all of our gyms across the world now. So this is 6 to 8 people per group. Unless you're here in Marbella, we have the space. We actually do about 25 people per group with multiple trainers. These are a really, really, really amazing way of getting a UP transformation on a budget. So we have options for you all. Don't think that if you can't afford PT with us, that we don't have options, or you can't afford online training, that we don't have options. We've got something to cater for all of you. So get on over to the website, upfitness.com, and check that out. Until next week, this is me gone. I am out. I'm going to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you for all of you regulars coming along. I apologise for the delays today, the massive technical issues we had first thing this morning. Fingers crossed we can get that sorted for next week. I hope this all goes well and saves properly. Otherwise, it's going to be a wasted hour. Well, it's not actually, is it? Because I gave you loads of information, you gave me loads of feedback, loads of valuable questions that I love. So thank you, good night, sleep well, all of you.